and crammed into graveyards, who might as well never have been born for all anyone knows about them. Millions of men die unknown too, but at least they once had an audience in a tavern or a marketplace. What they were like was of some consequence in the world. I might not have gone after May if she'd written her life story when she was still young. Now that I'm not young myself, I see retrospection as the one source of insight available to everyone. Or I might not have gone if May had lived in one of the eras I have to struggle to imagine, among the dogs and sheepskins of a medieval tower house, or wearing beauty spots on her powdered face in the 18th century. But she ran away into her adult life just as the past turned into our present. In Proust, the richest of consequences unfold at the beginning of the last movement, when the narrator returns to Paris after the First World War and stands here in our time, where there are telephones and taxis and airplanes, and opens a perspective back onto the world which, up to this, he and the readers have been within. May would have as wide a span. She could look back at an antique agricultural society from the vital chaos of the new cities of America. She died in 1929, the year of the stock market crash. So, she was a famous criminal in the era of long skirts and big hats, but she was also a contemporary of my mother's. The lineaments of the town that would have dazzled the eyes of little May Dignan when she was a country child, grey roofs rising from marshy fields, old storefronts along the main street, can still be made out in Longford. But sun bounced off the glass and steel of the shopping centre, where I ran up the stairs to the local studies library, eager to start reading. Below, in the car park, women marshalled their broods, slender daughters in full make-up, little boys in soccer shorts, calm, round-eyed infants. A mother bowled a buggy along, issuing instructions over her shoulder with such confidence that she never even looked around. What skills did May command, I wondered, as I opened the book, that could compare to the way these women organized children and shopping and households? What was she good at? Then, I hardly noticed half a day pass. I hadn't been prepared for the sheer amount of story, the number of places May had been, the number of things she'd done, the coincidences that had happened, the wonderful highs and terrible lows, the sheer speed of her tumultuous life. I hadn't realized that her world was much wider than Ireland and America, that it was in Paris, for example, with the most dangerous of her lovers, that she first came to real grief. But there was frontier America too, Egypt, England, South America. There were marriages and murders, diamonds and absolute poverty, exotic places, and here, home. I lifted my head and reminded myself where I was. Longford. Just under 100 years earlier, then, the May of this book had come through this very town, a tall, straight-backed woman, fabulously dressed, and with a purse bursting with money for all to see. But pallid, with a jail pallor. And that was when she was only in her early 30s. There were extremes of experience still to come. I raced through the pages, shaking my head as I read the way people do when they can hardly believe what they're being told. Imprisonment, an oblique encounter with the Easter Rising, a lethal, obsessive jealousy, collapse on the icy streets of Prohibition Detroit, and then a miracle. May had lived down at grassroots level, looking up at important events and people. Now, the eye of a great person fell on her, a caring eye, and against all the odds, she had it in her to respond. But even that was not the end. There was a last act still to come, and even at the very last minute, another development. How like her, I thought, when death was staring her in the face, to be starting off in a new direction. But as I closed the book, I was already asking myself what I meant by that.